I was realizing that I was a lesbian growing up in Richfield, Ohio, where there's also, there was no Asian families except for ours in the entire town. It really felt like, a double feeling of being really, really different compared to my peers. So it was extremely important to me to find community. And what's really interesting is that there are more gay people in Ohio than there are Asians in Ohio.
Really?
So it's actually easier for me to find community among gay people than it was to find community among Asians where I was growing up. Um, and in many places where I live, like northeastern Ohio, being a little bit more liberal and in voting patterns, etc. And then when I went to medical school in Columbus, Ohio, also a really large gay population there, so it was easier for me to find community among LGBTQ folks. So that has always been very validating, and I think that's a really good way to think about it. When you actually get involved in activist um, events and movements, and you're so close with other like-minded people, and it just is extremely validating for you as a person in trying to understand your identity.
I think there are two major reasons that LGBTQ activism is important. On a very basic level, it's more or less insane to me that we live in a society where people are denied access to particular jobs or healthcare or just respect because of something that they can't control, which is their sexual identity and sexual preference. I think that the activism part is also important because it's really easy to sit around and say, oh no, that's so awful, too bad for them. But I think actually acting, the act part of activism is the only way I think it's going to affect change in our society, and I think that really needs to happen.
So, Sophie, why do you think it is important to have organizations like NCLR to help eradicate homophobia and transphobia?
I think it's incredibly important to have organizations like NCLR because we need to have some sort of means for everybody to have some sort of affinity in a safe space where they can speak about discrimination they've faced or intolerance they've faced or any sorts of harsh words that they've encountered. And being in that sort of space will enable them to flourish and have the sort of community they need to navigate a society that at times can be intolerant.
One of the first things that happened was I went to an NCLR banquet where one of my favorite authors, who's still a real hero to me today, was speaking, and that was Dorothy Allison. And she wrote Bastard Out of Carolina and other really incredibly powerful pieces. But I just remember the feeling that I had at that banquet where everybody was, listening, like you could hear a pin drop. It was listening so carefully to her speech, and then afterwards, feeling really close afterwards. So it really gave me that sense of community,
Cool.
that other LGBTQ organizations give you.